I want to rank my top 5 quarterbacks in the ACC for this year. Now, if you guys haven't seen already, we already did a segment ranking the top 5 quarterbacks in the SEC for this year. Make sure that you guys go ahead and check that out. And when I do my rankings, it's always hard for me to rank college quarterbacks because I always view them from a NFL lens, who has the most NFL potential. And a lot of people say, JT, when you're doing these rankings, you have to judge them not by, what they are as an NFL prospect, but how good they are as a college quarterback. So I had to redo these rankings 5 or 6 times. But I think that I have, a pretty good top 5. And I think that many of you guys should agree with the order. I don't think there's going to be too much backlash in the comment section. So starting at number 5, I have Louisville quarterback Malik Cunningham. Now, behind Hendon Hooker, I think that Malik Cunningham is the second most underrated quarterback in college football entering this year. This is somebody who has had a good amount of production over the last couple of years for the Cardinals. Last season in 2021, he threw for 2,941 yards, 19 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, completed 62% of his passes. And he also had over 1,000 yards on the ground and 20 rushing touchdowns. Now, if you guys watch Malik Cunningham play, I don't think there's no way you can say that he doesn't play exactly like Lamar Jackson. Now, he's not as elusive as Lamar Jackson. He doesn't make as many people miss as Lamar. But he's pretty good when it comes to running with the football. He's also pretty fast as well. Now, he doesn't have the arm that Lamar Jackson has. Now, he has a really good arm. Don't get that twisted. But Lamar Jackson has a stronger arm. However, I think he's more accurate as a passer than what Lamar was at Louisville. So when you look at Malik Cunningham, he's been really productive, phenomenal athlete, super dynamic runner. And I think for him, if he can improve his pocket presence, being a little bit more calm, because there are a lot of times where he gets a little bit jittery, and I think that he bails out of the pocket too fast. So if that improves this year, I think that Malik Cunningham could be a dark horse Heisman contender. And I don't see how anybody can't see it. And I'm a little bit surprised that not too many people know who this guy is and how good he is. But if you don't know who Malik Cunningham is, go look at some Malik Cunningham highlights and tell me that he doesn't play similar to Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying that he is Lamar. I'm not saying he is going to be the next Lamar Jackson. I'm just saying that if Lamar Jackson had a twin, it probably would be Malik Cunningham. They play ideally similar. And when it comes to his NFL chances, I think that he has a pretty good shot at rising on draft boards. And I think that he potentially could be a 3rd or 2nd round pick. But Malik Cunningham comes in at number 5 for me. Sam Hartman, Wake Forest quarterback, I have at number 4. And I know that a lot of you guys are going to get riled up about this one. You're going to get really upset. But when I look at Sam Hartman, I watched a lot of his games last year. He played really good against the average to below average competition. But when he played against some of the best teams in the ACC, he didn't have too many good performances or too many great moments, to say the least. Okay, he had 3 games of 2 interceptions or more, including 4 interceptions in the ACC championship game against Pittsburgh. He's a little overrated to me. Because when you look at the numbers, everybody's going to say, man, JT, Sam Hartman is one of the best quarterbacks in college football. Over 4,000 yards, 39 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, completed 58.9% of his passes, and he also has 11 rushing touchdowns on the ground. And with me, efficiency is really key when it comes to how I like to rank quarterbacks. If you're somebody who's reckless with the football and you turn the football over a good amount, I can't really rank you all that high. And a lot of people are probably going to say, well, JT, the highs outweigh the lows. And I can understand that. But he wasn't good against NC State. Despite the fact that Wake Forest won that game, he had 3 interceptions to 3 touchdowns. Against Clemson, he wasn't all that good neither. And against Pitt, he had 2 touchdowns, 4 picks. So for Sam Hartman, I think that this is somebody who has great stats and great statistics. But for him to be ranked higher on this list, I just need to see better performances against some of the better competition in this conference. So that's why I have him at number 4. And I don't know if a lot of you guys are just going to skip over that and just automatically go to, getting irritated in the comment section. But I just can't rank Sam Hartman any higher on this list than at number 4, because if you go back and you watch his film against Clemson and NC State and Pitt, he was a turnover machine. And if he didn't have all those turnovers, there's a pretty good chance that Wake Forest could have won the ACC championship game against Pittsburgh. But Sam Hartman is my 4th ranked quarterback in the ACC for this season. At number 3, I have Virginia quarterback Brennan Armstrong. And his name is really ironic. Get it? Brennan Armstrong. He plays quarterback. Nobody laughed. Well, it was funny to me. But anyway, when you look at Brennan Armstrong, I gotta rank him above Sam Hartman simply for the fact that he was really phenomenal against some of the best teams that Virginia was matched up against last year. Against BYU, he balled out. Even though he did have 2 turnovers, he had 4 touchdowns. And against UNC, he had 4 touchdowns, over 500 yards passing. He had a lot of phenomenal games where he had multiple games of 3+ touchdowns or more, and several games when he was throwing for 400 yards. And when you look at Brennan Armstrong, he has very good arm strength. I think that he has very good touch on his passes. He isn't super athletic, but he can extend plays. But I think that he plays in a quarterback-friendly system. So if you're looking at him from a NFL perspective, he probably most likely won't be a first-round pick because of that. His quarterback system is kind of a one read and bail after that. So you probably would like to see him get a lot better when it comes to going through his first, second, and third reads. On top of that, his mechanics are pretty off a lot of times. There were many times that I watched Brennan Armstrong and he was throwing off his back foot. And especially under pressure, his mechanics can really get spotty at times. And his throwing motion is slow and elongated, but he does have pretty good touch, and I like his accuracy. So I think that if he can improve when it comes to his footwork, I think that he potentially could be a 3rd-round pick in next year's draft. And I think that Brennan Armstrong probably could have the argument being made for him that he is the best quarterback in this conference. I've seen him on a lot of people's top 10 quarterback rankings for this year in college football. And, I kind of agree with it. This is somebody, when it comes to making plays and having a lot of big throws, Brennan Armstrong definitely delivers in that department. And I think that he's better than Sam Hartman. I can't really see why people put Sam Hartman above him. There's somebody who threw for 31 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. And he also threw for over 4,000 yards. So I think that if you have to compare Sam Hartman and Brennan Armstrong, I think Brennan Armstrong is the better quarterback. More accurate, takes better care of the football. Give me Brennan Armstrong at number 3. At number 2, I have NC State quarterback Devin Leary. Now, Devin Leary had a breakout season for the Wolfpack last year. He threw for 3,433 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, and completed 65.7% of his passes. Now, Devin Leary is the most accurate quarterback in this conference. He had a great game against Clemson. He has great ball placement. He makes great decisions with the football. He has high football IQ. He's really good when it goes through going through his progressions. 1, 2, 3. I think that this is a NFL level quarterback. However, he's a traditional old school quarterback. It's funny that we call pocket passers old school quarterbacks now, but he doesn't have a lot of mobility. He doesn't really bring you anything when it comes to the run game. So I think that kind of holds him back a little bit. But he's really good under pressure. He has a really fast release. I think that Devin Leary has to be the second best quarterback in the ACC. Not just when it comes to purely college football, but also if you're looking at him from a NFL evaluation standpoint. This is somebody who I most definitely could see being a late first round pick. I don't think he would go early first round simply for the fact that he doesn't possess a lot of athletic ability, which is something that you have to have in today's NFL. So I think that might hurt him a little bit. But I think that overall, Devin Leary is one of, if not the best quarterback in the ACC, because there's not a lot of quarterbacks who have this kind of accuracy, who can throw wide receivers open. You have a lot of quarterbacks in college football who wait for wide receivers to get open and then they throw it. And then you have Devin Leary who's throwing wide receivers open. You have wide receivers who are coming out of their breaks and the ball is there. That's what you like to see out of your quarterback when it comes to accuracy. You want to see the ball getting there on time as soon as the wide receiver breaks on his route. So Devin Leary, I think that he's a little bit underrated. I think that he deserves to be in that top 10 quarterback discussion, or at least a top 15 quarterback. And I think he's a big reason why a lot of people are high on the Wolfpack when it comes to them being a sleeper team to make it into the college football playoffs this year. At number 1, I have Tyler Van Dyke, and I understand that a lot of people are probably going to get upset with this one because they're going to say, well, JT, Tyler Van Dyke doesn't have the numbers that the other quarterbacks behind him does. And I understand that. And I also understand that, Tyler Van Dyke didn't play in as many games as these other quarterbacks. But if Tyler Van Dyke would have played the whole entire season, he would have had the most touchdowns out of any quarterback in this conference. If he would have played the whole entire regular season for Miami last year, he was on pace for having over 40 passing touchdowns. This is somebody who kind of started out slow. When he first came in replace of De'Aaron King due to injuries, he got off to some shaky starts. And I was looking at him, I was like, man, this dude trash. Can we put somebody else in? And then after that UNC game, he really started to settle in. He ended the season with 6 straight games of 300-plus passing yards and 3+ touchdowns. And he balled against NC State and Pittsburgh and led Miami to wins in those performances. He's incredibly athletic. He has a very good arm. I mean, the ball comes out with a lot of velocity, really fast. It's really beautiful to watch Tyler Van Dyke throw the football. And he reminds me a little bit of Josh Allen in a sense, because I think that he's more athletic than what a lot of people give him credit for. I mean, he can really move. Tyler Van Dyke has some wheels. And, with him getting his first little bit of action last year, his decision-making was really questionable at times, especially late in games. So hopefully that should improve this year. His accuracy also probably could use some improvement as well. It was pretty spotty during certain moments of games. He kind of was hot and cold some games, or sometimes during games he would be on. And there also would be sometimes during games that he would kind of be cold. So overall, I think Tyler Van Dyke is the best quarterback in the ACC for this season. Like I said last year, if you're somebody who only cares about the numbers, Tyler Van Dyke had 25 touchdowns and played in way less games than these quarterbacks right behind him. If he would have played the whole entire season, he would have had the most touchdowns out of any quarterback in this conference. Like, this dude is phenomenal. And I think that, without a doubt, he's probably going to end up being a top 10, top 15 pick come the 2023 NFL draft if he does end up declaring. But this is it for my top 5 quarterbacks in the ACC. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comment section down below.